So, Bob, how have you been expanding your ability to think over the years?
Well, I read a lot. I talk to a lot of people. I think having the lab that I have with a lot of people who are probably a lot smarter than me at all, and they, talk to me about different things. I think a lot of my colleagues as well. I think, again, it's a lot about people.
Sion, how have you been expanding your abilities to think over the years?
Oh, that's really interesting question. Expand ability. I don't know. I've never thought about in that way. I just whatever I needed to do, I just try it. Whatever situation I should push more, then I push more. And I'm kind of like an adaptable person, and depending on the situation, I try to adapt to that situation and do something rather than the complaining about it. Because if something happens, some people just complaining and do nothing, and it doesn't help at all. But my case is whatever better things happen, try to adapt the situation and solve the problem rather than the complaining, because we don't have any energy to waste to complaining or mad at that. And I really want to use my energy more like a productive way rather than the wasting way. So yeah, that's the one of the kind of expandability and checking the situation and checking the resource, what I can take advantage of, what I can use of. And yeah, more like a yeah, sometimes I'm too cold because some friends of mine said that, and you are way too cold, and then just thinking about the situation and analysis the situation and then try to find a solution. But someone should do that. At least one person should do that to make it things going. Yeah, if everybody's emotional and then nothing happened. So of course, some people who is way too emotional, they support me emotionally. They support me psychologically. I feel so appreciate that. So I don't even complain about that. So every single people has their own ability and their own capability. So I believe world is kind of doing the 1,000 pieces jigsaw puzzle. So somebody should be the corner, somebody should be the in the middle, somebody should be the side, and then we try to find how to work together and then make a big, huge, beautiful kind of photo of the jigsaw puzzle. So I'm that kind of people who do the corner with the analytical thinking and solving the problem. And then my friends is an emotional supporter who's crying and smiling and supporting even if totally non-functional. And then we should all work together. And so that's the how I expand my ability over the situation or behind the thought.
The question we have for you is how have you been expanding your ability to think?
I expand my ability to think, and this is just me. Fitness has always been my go-to. When I'm in the middle of a workout, today I was hanging from the dip bar. My shoulders were burning, my abs were burning, everybody was dropping from the bars. And I'm like, no, Amy, you're not going to drop. You're going to, yeah, it burns, but okay, let's focus on this. Let's keep your legs moving. Let's focus on momentum. Let's focus on a specific count. Let's focus on whatever. I take what I learn about myself and my ability to push through I take that and expand it into my real world. So I'm sitting here today and I have 9 hours of work. I'm tired. I want to go home. I don't want to be here. But I break it down into piece by piece. I'm working on this for this patient and this little girl, and she needs a prosthetic leg. And that right now is more important than my discomfort or my wanting to go sit on the couch. I'm actually doing something and making a difference in the world. I will take my ability to figure it out in some of the most harsh conditions, physically and mentally, and then apply it to the rest of my world.
Mm.
And to be honest with you, with the work that I do, I'm the director here at A Step Ahead Prosthetics. I am constantly evolving and taking my thought process to a next level, because with prosthetics, you're always having to fight the insurance companies. You're always having to fight denials, where people who don't wear prosthetics, you have to try and get them to understand what it's like to wear one for the rest of your life, need one for the first time. So I will say, because I stay active, because I'm always traveling, whether it's getting on the train, going into the city and doing a race for a day and coming back out, or flying, I'm always in different areas doing different things, which you have no other way than to um, expand your thinking process, expand your learning process. But staying sedentary, I think, closes that learning aspect, and it closes the bubble around you. So the more that you can go and do and be, the more that you dream, the more that you want, and then you have to figure out how to get it.
Yeah.
So you're constantly evolving. You're meeting with these amazing people and you're taking their thought processes to do the amazing things that they do and applying them to your life. And that's the exact same thing. You're meeting someone and you're saying, wow, that's a really good lesson and I could apply that to my life. I'm using fitness, sports to create that feeling in me that then I apply it to my life.
If you pick one thing that's really important that had helped you to improve your ability to think and expand in it, what would that be?
I think, well, I think a big thing that just jumps to mind is self-care, really, like just trying to eat well and move my body as often as possible, and to have a good night's sleep, and to really be able to like tune into my body and just being and my brain, to know when I'm depleted and know when my capacity is low, because we get all these signals from our bodies like constantly, and from our brains, and these can really tell us, like, give us indications of what we can do, so that we can have the capacity to think in the way that we really want to be thinking, right? Like I think but like, if we start to get depleted, if we start to not get enough sleep, if we don't eat well, if we don't move our bodies, we can get into these plateaus, and our thinking, it's really hard to be creative, right? And to be able to listen to other people, and to be compassionate, and to develop deep connections with others when we're not like fully nourished ourselves. And so to me, that's something that to me, that's like the ultimate for thinking, is to get in touch with like which foods are really, and actually there's a breakfast that I like to eat most days that I think is actually really helpful, and it just like, there's a lot of protein, and there's omega-3s, and and I think like there's walnuts and blueberries and there's oats. And this breakfast actually was written up in this magazine GQ. If so, you can actually go and find my breakfast. They did like a story on it, like brain boosting breakfast. But I mean, to me, that's important. There's certain foods that actually help us think better, and most recently, I think like omega-3s are actually something that have been deeply on my mind. It's in fish and walnuts and algae and things like that. So it's like I just tuned it. Like I feel like being tuned into your body and your brain. And people wear devices like rings and watches and things to monitor sleep, and I think that can be really helpful. But we also I think we shouldn't forget that our bodies are also giving us signals, and we don't necessarily need the technologies to tell us when we're depleted. And I think the more we can tune into our intuition, our core kind of wisdom, it can really be an amazing compass and guide in our lives to tell us like what we need to do our best thinking, and to be able to have the capacity to listen deeply and connect deeply with others.
Wow.
In Switzerland, usually you decide that at the end of the 9th school year. So we were a little bit in a rush to find a future for me. My timing wasn't exactly good. So I also had to decide something to do right now, So the idea was actually for me to go to the hotel management school. And maybe through the hotel management school then to do something like work for the Red Cross.
Red Cross.
Right. You see, people working in the hotel management school, many of them afterwards are actually not becoming a hotelier.
Oh, really?
So they go to work for the United Nations, they go and work in diplomacy, they go and work for NGOs, because they have skills such as working in a multicultural environment, speaking with different languages, they learn calculations, they learn logistics, they learn hygiene and organizations, and these are all skills which are highly, highly in demand for NGOs.
Yeah.
And Switzerland, Geneva, is after New York the second headquarter of the United Nations.
Yeah.
And with this you have all these international NGOs there trying to do some lobbying, right?
Yeah.
So that was originally a little bit my idea. So when I wanted to go to the hotel management school, I obviously had to ask my parents to pay for it, and they basically said no. What? And they said, you need to learn to work. Number one, Andre. So we're not going to pay you just the hotel school that you're one of those kids going to school. We know many of them, right? And number two, they said, look, Andre, whatever you want to do, you have leadership in you. You are an alpha.
Wow.
And with this, you need to lead people. You cannot lead people if you don't understand them. And
Who say that, Mom?
My father mainly, but my mom was on the same page. And in order to understand them, you have to be one of them.
Wow.
So they said, you go and learn a job. You want to go to the hotel school, first you become a chef, or a receptionist, or a waiter, whatever, you go and learn. You earn 50% of the money yourself. When you have a proper job in hospitality, when you have the 50%, we give you the other 50% to go to the hotel school.
Wow.
So I was forced to find something, and I decided to become a chef.
Yeah.
So at that time, I wasn't an enthusiastic chef. I was more like, okay. But over time, and because I had the right teacher, I started to love being a chef. I got my passion to be a chef, and I made my way through this, yes. But the point is this, because I was a chef, I was together with other employees, sitting there, living there, sleeping in the bedrooms where 6 employees sleep together and all that. I really, really deeply understand how a rank and file employee thinks. And this is something which is deeply in the roots of the Swiss system.
or three things that really help you to expand your ability to think that our audience will be benefiting to hear from you. So what would those two or three things be?
To improve our thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I guess, yeah, the one is already the one I've just said around that, just that mindset of curiosity is our first thing, is that constant learning, reading, listening to podcasts, and, you know, just gathering that knowledge and doing that training and development all the time is really key to improve our thinking. I guess sometimes we get in our own way of our own thinking, and we tell ourselves stories about us that stop us from moving forward, or our belief that we can achieve, or that stop us from achieving our goals because of our thinking. You know, we have that kind of inner voice, that critic that stops us, and the thinking isn't really helpful. So sometimes I talk about that in terms of challenging that thinking. Is it a voice or a thought that's helpful to us? And sometimes it's not. Is it supportive? Is it useful to me? Is it true? And often the thoughts are not true or helpful or facts, and they're just stories that we're telling ourselves based on beliefs, based on the rhetoric that we've, you know, been running for many years. So I challenge that thinking sometimes in terms of notice it, because the thoughts are so automatic. Our thoughts, you know, are just traveling all the time at speed. So notice the thoughts, challenge it. Is it helpful? Is it useful to us? Is it true? And if it's not supportive, then change it. Change that thinking, and change it to something that's more supportive. That's something I do with my own thinking, and something I share with other people in terms of improving our thought processes. But I think also what's helpful is to be present, right? Because we're so moving so fast all the time that sometimes our thinking isn't very clear, and we don't, you know, when we're doing 1,000,001 things and we're just constantly distracted or managing multiple tasks, or, you know, split attention, we can't think clearly, and we can't think and broaden our perspective or think of new ideas and new ways of doing things, because we're just too much going on. So our ability to think clearly and develop new ideas comes from us slowing down. Sometimes it comes from us, you know, pausing, taking breaks, having rest, you know, doing exercise. I think some of my best thinking comes when I go running, and I've just got nothing else to think about, and I'm just running, and the ideas come. But when we're chasing the day and we're rushing from one meeting and one call to the next, and finishing this and facing the deadline and thinking, I've got to go and cook the dinner, and this, you know, there's just too much going on, we never have brilliant ideas and solve problems. So our ability to expand our creativity and think clearly comes from slowing down and pausing and building those moments of silence and quiet time during our day. That's what allows us to expand our thinking.
How have you been expanding your ability to think over the years?
Probably through a couple of good mentors. I will not call them boss because I don't like the word. I call them mentor. I have a few of them which they help me a lot in the job itself, and also in how you have to control your emotion. Because to be emotional in this kind of job several times, it will not help you. So if you react to everything is happening to you, it's not going to help you. So you need to first, okay, calm down. let me understand why it is happening and why I have this kind of reaction, why I have this kind of emotion.
Wow.
And when everything is clear, then I can go and talk.
Yeah.
Before I was not like this. Before I was reacting very much to everything, you know, to everything that coming from the outside to myself, and getting upset and getting angry, and then I understand no need, you know.
Wow.
The moment I understand this one, I cannot tell you I don't know, you know, I cannot recognize when. Probably my mind and my way of thinking, of course, changed throughout the years. But then I learned to receive what is coming from the outside. Okay, keep it and analyze better. Rather than give an immediate reaction.
I believe,
You know, and then you can decide, okay, is this important to me? Yes or no? If not important, then leave it. Don't take it even in consideration. If it's important to me, okay, what can I do?
Over the years, how have you been expanding your ability to think?
I read. Not just nonfiction, but fiction. Because it, especially nonfiction, or I'm sorry, fiction rather. I'm sorry, I meant to say fiction, because it opens my creative mind and my visualization. That's been it for me, is reading. And I notice when I read, I enter back into work I'm doing, certainly with more energy, but with some clarity. I especially like to take a minute to read when I'm stuck on something, or there's just a lot of just noise and negativity in my brain. I sit down and read something. And it does allow me to redirect my thoughts. And then I'm able to expand my thinking that way. And I just learn from reading too. It gives me ideas. You know, or I'm reading something like, oh, wait a minute, that's interesting, because I'm dealing with this, right? Yeah.
So what do you do to help you step onto your new self, the version that you believe is going to bring you a lot of good things and a lot of values for other people, a lot of good impact that new self going to bring?
Yeah. Well, I would first say I built belief in myself. You know, I mean, I know that might sound simple and a little vague on how you build belief, but you build belief one thing at a time that you do that's hard. And so I will and I will share the piece that I talk about in my book is stepping into your next self, as you say it. I relate to you're at your edge of familiarity. Your edge of familiarity is when you're kind of at this point, like you're feeling good, but you're sensing something different is expected from you, or you want to take a step to your next self, but you have fear. You're uncertain. You don't know how. And, you know, growth begins at that edge. And we don't grow unless we cross that edge, unless we cross that moment. And that only happens when there's belief in yourself, not just belief that you can do it, but belief that coming out the other side, whether it works or not, you come out a stronger person. And so I've been, you know, as I think about that, it just reminds me of that place where I'm often at my edge of familiarity and I'm just hesitant to take a step. How do I remind myself of the belief in what I'm doing?
Wow.
what brings you happiness?
I think it's a combination of different things. I was a late family man, so for the longest time, what made me very happy is career growth. Traveling, experiencing different countries. And I woke up one day, I said, listen, I'm 36 years old. I want to get married. I want to have kids. So all of a sudden, there was an additional requirements in my life for me to be happy. It's to have a legacy, to have a permanent partner in my life and grow a family. So I dealt with that. I made sure it happened. Then, when the kids were grown, of course, again, your priority shift or expand. So you don't want to maybe relinquish your interest in one thing, but in the same time, you have an entire new set of responsibilities and thing that makes you happy. So I don't think it's ever changing. It's shifting. I think that the traveling part is still very important, although again, this is the longest I have lived in one country. It's going to come to 7 years living in Vietnam, and I never thought that we would be staying so long. But it's been such a very, very welcoming countries. The warmth that we receive from the Vietnamese people, and I mean, face it, Vietnam and Central Vietnam specifically. The food, the landscape, the people, the weather. For me, this is a piece of paradise. And as an hotelier, I want everybody to know about it. And on a personal level, I don't want people to know about it because I want to keep it for myself. But it's got everything to offer. So, so back to your questions. Yeah, I think it's ever changing, and I think the search for happiness is not a goal. It's not, I arrived. I think it's a
journey.
It's a journey. It's I'm just genuinely happy. I think if you think that you are going to be happy once you have a salary increment, a new car, a watch, a new, I don't know what, a new phone. For me, this is not where the answer is. This is not where true happiness is. I think, as I say, some people find the answers into these questions in faith. But I don't think there's I don't think there's a finish line. I think it's a state of mind, being happy rather than looking for happiness.
Wow.
Maybe you need to think of what makes you unhappy and try to remove this toxicity of
the rest of that. Right? So
there are some people that maybe make you uncomfortable, stress. How do you remove this negativity from your life? Sometimes I think that as a young self, myself being young, I was probably looking for what could make me happy, could excite me, could, make my life better. And now it's more like, what do I need to remove so that, I have less, trouble, less, distractions, less things that could, stop me from. There's nothing that I don't have today that I think is going to say, I win the lottery, I'm going to be rich. Doesn't solve all the
problem we have.
All the problems, correct.
How have you been expanding your ability to think?
I think there are a few things that help me. Definitely quieting my mind and the thoughts. So I think meditating. Yeah, it started with yoga at first, because at the end, you enter shavasana and state where you can really release all of your thoughts. And then I started to meditate. My mom is meditating a lot, so she has also taught me a lot this ability to Alors, because you're talking about like how to think, but I think how to think in a very conscious way. It's when you know how to quiet a little bit your mind and your intrusive thoughts.
Yeah.
So I think meditation helps for that. And the second thing that's for me personally has helped me so much is journaling. I have been journaling every day for the past month, thanks to, because I'm seeing someone like a coach who has been helping me to build a beautiful routine. So I'm using different tools, like I'm doing breath work, like to quiet a little bit the thoughts and to be able to think in a better way, in a more conscious way. And journaling has helped me also to sit down, because I had like prompts to answer every day. So it's like you sit down and you're really, okay, you focus on something and then you start to think. So yeah, I think journaling, breathwork, meditation has helped me a lot.
To expand your ability to think, to have a clear mind.
To have a clear mind.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Wonderful.
So, Bryce, how have you been expanding your ability to think over the years?
Well, first of all, I love that that is your and your wife's mission, because, to me, thinking is the most important and essential skill that we need as individuals and as a species in order to live our lives to their fullest, and in order to address the challenges that we have that confront us all as residents of this planet. People have often asked me, the question of, if you could tell people one thing, what would you tell them? And the answer that I always give is think. Think for yourself. And that is such an important and essential skill. It's an important and essential quality. And the answer to your question about what I have been doing is, well, I mean, that's been the focus of my work ever since 2017, when my most recent book, Red Teaming, came out. Red Teaming is about teaching people how to think more critically, how to challenge their assumptions, how to think three-dimensionally about problems, and how to make better decisions, particularly in situations where it's impossible to know the right answer ahead of time, because things are too complex, the situation is changing too rapidly. Conditions like we live in today. So what I have been doing to improve my own thinking is, first, obviously, before I wrote a book on this topic, I was a student of this. I learned about this methodology, as I mentioned, that had been developed initially by the military and intelligence community, based on the latest neuroscience, based on the work of people like Dr. Daniel Kahneman and Dr. Gary Klein, both of whom I had opportunity to work with and study with when I was writing this book. And I started as a student of learning these methods, these tools and techniques for thinking more critically, for applying critical thinking, for thinking more expansively. And then, since the book came out, I've continued to refine these tools and techniques with my clients to help them think better. And in the process, that's improved my own thinking, which gets me to the answer to your question, which is the best way. Thinking is like thinking is the opposite of a razor or a knife. The more you use a razor or a knife, the more it becomes dull and useless. Thinking is the more you think, the more you use your brain, the more you think, the better you get at it, the better your thinking becomes. So it becomes a virtuous cycle. So what I teach my clients is that the more you challenge yourself, the more time you're willing to spend thinking, I don't mean spending time avoiding a decision, but I mean just spending time thinking things through. The more effective your brain becomes at problem solving, at putting together complex pieces of data from different sources and drawing the best possible conclusion from that. And so the biggest thing that I do to improve my own thinking is continue to think. And that leads me to my motto, which is don't outsource thinking.
Yay! I took a screenshot for that. Yeah.
Yeah, because what most people do, unfortunately, especially today in the age of AI, is they're too quick to let others think for them. See, in my mind, I'm not against AI at all. I think AI is an incredibly powerful tool if we view it as a tool. So to me, artificial intelligence is like an Iron Man suit for your brain. It allows your brain to do more than it could do without it. Like I can work with Claude and generate analysis and data rapidly. If I have curiosity, if I'm curious about, I have this problem in my business, I'm not sure how to solve it. Go out and find out what 5 of my competitors are doing and tell me, give me an analysis of what they're doing that's different than what I'm doing. And in 10, 15 minutes, I have that sitting in front of me. That allows me to think much more expansively and deeply than I could before artificial intelligence existed. And so I can make better decisions. But if I say, Claude, what I'm doing in my company doesn't work, tell me what to do, then I'm outsourcing thinking to something else. And maybe it will give me a good answer, maybe it won't. But what it definitely will not do is give me a new answer. Because artificial intelligence can only give us answers that people have already come up with. Because it's bound by what exists already that humans have thought of. Whereas if I use it as a support, as a force multiplier for my own thinking, I may come up with not here's the 5 things that my competitors are doing, here's the best one. I may say, here's what I'm doing, here's what my 5 competitors are doing. I just thought of a 6th or 7th way that none of these are, that's better than all of them. That's what I can do, supported by artificial intelligence, but with me doing the thinking. Similarly, you see a lot of leaders who pay McKinsey or Bain or Deloitte millions of dollars to think for them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's unfortunate because you know, the job of a leader is to think for themselves. To get input, yes. But if you outsource thinking, you're not developing the skills that will make you and your team successful. I had this conversation with one of my clients a few years ago. They had just signed a multi-million-dollar contract with Deloitte to do strategy development for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I told the CEO, this is a big, Fortune 25 company. I told the CEO, I said, let me ask you a question. I said, why did you just sign this contract with Deloitte to do strategy for you? He said, what do you mean? I said, you have over 300 people in your org chart who have the word strategy in their title. He said, yeah. I said, well, then either one of 2 things is happening. Either you've hired the wrong people and they're not doing their job, wow. Or more likely, I suspect, you're not listening to them. Instead of trusting your own people, you're hiring Deloitte because Deloitte puts its stamp on it and that makes it safe. But Deloitte doesn't know more than your own people do about what your strategy should be. What is Deloitte going to do? Deloitte is going to put a bunch of recent college graduates, MBA students who have no experience, to work developing a cookie cutter strategy that they probably already sold to your competitor. And you're going to pay them $12 million. Whereas you have these 300 people in your company who have been living, breathing, eating your business for the last 20, 30 years. They know exactly what needs to be done. And you don't have to pay them anything more than you're already paying them. You just have to let them think and then listen to them and make a decision based on what they tell you. And so again, that's why don't outsource thinking.
Wow, beautiful. And how did that CEO respond?
Deloitte lost a $12.5 million contract.
Virginia, how have you been expanding your ability to think over the years?
It might sound notorious, but I think reading good, difficult to comprehend books does help a lot. It's reading and reflection. It's that. It's the ability to, and also it's that, and you have to become your own best friend to be wanting to have that inner dialogue with yourself all the time, you know? And I've learned in a hard way how to be my own best friend. But that helps you develop your thinking skills a lot. Knowing who you are, knowing what your worth is, knowing what your values are. So reading is a hard skill. Getting to know yourself is sort of the soft skill, which is gained in a hard way though, right? Also, surround yourself with smart people. Well, because that helps a lot. Look for the communities where people come together to discuss, to talk, to share. So learn by observing.
Yeah.
That really helps. And I'm not talking now about the specific methodologies and the structures and the frameworks that are there to help people develop their cognitive skills. If we talk about thinking as a cognitive skill, right? And then the last but not the least is to ask questions. You know, encourage yourself and others. Ask questions, because that's where the thinking start. That's what thinking starts with. So ask question yourself, be curious, and encourage others.
Wow.
To be curious about everything. So I think these are the things that are very critical for starts thinking. But I think there is a fine line between kind of, thinking and rationalizing.
Wow.
Tell
me more.
So,
Tell me more.
and people have to know. And see, the thing is, there will be just my perception, and others may have it differently. So I don't want to impose my perception, my view onto others who I hope maybe, listening or watching this podcast, But I think everyone have to answer that question to himself or to yourself, When is that I think? When is that I, kind of rationalize, And also, even though the conversation is about thinking now, but I think again, I just want to say that feelings should never be forgotten, because
Wow.
these are the feelings that make us the human beings. You know, the feelings, the empathy, compassion, and all those other beautiful attributes that the word empathy embodies. So it's that and thinking that makes us human.
What a wonderful answer. How have you been improved your ability to think over the years?
I think with more knowledge that you get, and the older you get more maturity, and you can analyze situations more rationally than that. Now I can see that that happens to me in my life as I've gotten maturity and more experience, and I can relate these experiences to my present experience and apply the lessons that I've tried to learn in the past. And I think life is a building block of experience and relationships. And I found now that since I've become a Christian and a follower of Jesus, I pray more about, Lord, what should I do? And where should I go? And how should we operate in our life and in our relationships? And I've never heard the voice of God in my ears, but I have these impressions in my heart. And so it's like God's spirit speaking to our spirit in our heart. It says, go this way. You have an inclination that you ought to do this. And when sometimes I miss it, but most of the time it works out. So I and Dottie and I we pray a lot about decisions and what we should do and where we should go and what we should say, and just all of these things that that make us one, if you will, with God. And so it's been an exciting journey for the last 40 years or so. And, so.
How have you been growing and expanding your ability to think over the years?
I would say it's quite deliberate and intentional. The way I think is also very structured. So I'm just going to pull out one of my, it's not really a journal, but every month I make sure that I plan things ahead. And, you know, I write down my monthly focus, again, very holistically in terms of my career, what I want to learn, my health, my relationships, the community I want to support, and my finances. Again, very holistic, right? And I write down not a long to-do list, but a few key things that I want to do, and also monthly key milestones.
Wow.
So this helps me to, and this book, I always have the pages in front of me, like it's always open, because it reminds me every single day what I need to do in order to get closer to my goal or my dream. And not only that, so it's not the goal only, but at the end of the month, I would write down my reflections. So my reflections around what goals I've accomplished, but also what are some of the big risks that I've taken, which is kind of the same as newness, right? What are the risks that we've taken? What are some of the new things that I've done that would pose a risk? What are some of the valuable learnings? What are the new meaningful connections that we've made? Which one of those are you, by the way, because we met, I think, in January. And also, what are some of the things I'm most grateful for? So every day, so this I do it every month, but every day I journal in the morning. I write down 3 things I'm grateful for, and I write down 3 things that would make my day awesome. And then, yeah, every day. And then I would also reflect, at the end of the day, what were the 3 things that really, really made my day? And what is one thing that I've learned? So this is the way how I structure my thinking. And this is also a way to kind of appreciate what we have in life, because things, as I just mentioned to you as well at the beginning of the conversation, things are a little bit slow in terms of business in Q1. But I think it's about appreciating what else I have apart from that. And even though business may be slow, but what is the beauty out of it? What is in hindsight actually something that came out positively? For example, being able to spend more quality time with my son before he goes off to kindergarten, right? Or spending more time with my parents who are, elderly. So this is the way I think is quite structured. I think it's very intentional and also quite deliberate and disciplined. So that's just me. That's just how I like to think.
Beautiful. How have you been expanding your ability to think, Simon?
Taking a step back, giving yourself space to reflect is really, really important, I think. So designing deliberate spaces where you can reflect and go over your thoughts. So I do handwritten notes for this reason, right? So I have my notebook with me, and I take notes throughout the day, and then I come back, I revisit, I pick out what is important, what do I need to carry forward, not in the sense of to-dos, but in the sense of learnings. What is in there which is important to the way I behave, to the way I work, or to the things I miss. So I think really making space for reflection is an important aspect of, I believe, of what you are discussing. I did a retreat in India for 2 times, a month each, and this is a wonderful opportunity for reflection. So that's not maybe it's the main purpose, but that's not why I went there. But it has that side effect. And in fact, the idea for the book I was discussing earlier came while there. So I was there and then said, okay, that's a project I'll attack once I'm back. The other thing I mentioned before is this reflection in writing. So really trying to explain something to someone else in simple terms helps me sharpen my thinking, because I know, and that's also why I like doing the teaching, because it helps me bring thoughts to a point, to a clarity, so that I can share and people can follow.
Christine, how have you been growing your ability to think over the years?
That's a great question. I know for sure I've been pushing myself to be in situations with people that are different than me, but like try a new interest group, or experience something that I might not normally be that interested in. And I'm going to go back to my doctoral program just for a moment, because that's another example. We had a class on diversity, and that totally changed my life, this one class, because I realized I had such a very narrow framework of the world, and I'm a person of privilege. I'm a white middle-aged woman, and I got to see the lived experience and hear the lived experience of classmates who are many whom were people of color. And I realized I had got to be aware of my own limitations, my own biases, and continue to push the envelope. So doing things that I normally wouldn't find necessarily, oh, why would I do that? But now trying more and more of those kinds of things. And that example of that diversity class is the most powerful example I can give you. And even a silly little example, I love fiction, novels. And I was in a book club not that long ago where the person who got to choose the book chose a short story anthology. And I was like, oh, I hate short stories. They're so short. And I'm not going to like this. But I realized, no, you got to do what the other people are saying. So I read this short story anthology. It was great. It's wonderful. So I just have to keep reminding myself of what a limited view of the world I have if I only stick with what I know.
Wow.
And that, again, it does help me because I do like to be curious, but now I've realized I can't just be curious in a very selective fashion as long as it fits in my little box. I got to be curious about other things. That's why Vietnam is so exciting.
What have you been doing to helping you to continue to expand your ability to think over the years?
Well, one thing that I think is helpful is that I work out regularly, physically. So I'm in pretty good shape. I'll be 84 in a month, and I'm still working out 5 or 6 days a week, and so and I've been doing that for a number of years. The other thing is that I do some meditation, not a lot of time, 10 minutes, 10 minutes a day. And so the other thing is that I'm just trying to think about what's regular in my life. I pay attention to there's a Richard Rohr's morning meditations that I read every day, and what I do when I read those meditations, they're wonderful. They're based on, they fit exactly with my book All, because he's a wonderful mystic, a Catholic a priest, and so I read those meditations, and what I do is if something really stands out for me, I will highlight it, and I keep a running book of quotes that come from, there's one quote within it's about, his meditations are maybe about a page long or so, maybe a page and a half of reading, but they're not real long, but they're every day, and I read them, and then there'll be one that just sort of stands out, and I think that one really moves me, and so it's trying to read as a resonant listener or resonant reader, what resonates for me, and I highlight that, and I put the date and that outlined in, and I save all the meditations, the daily meditations. I just drop them onto my computer, as an email. Just keep dropping them in. So if I wanted to see that whole email when I go through my book of quotes, then I leaf through those sometimes, and I say, oh, I want to go back to the whole context to see it. But that is a daily routine, paying attention to that, and I can share with you the meditation that I use that leads into my my 10-minute meditation, most of which is quiet. But the first couple of minutes, and what I do is I make I'll just walk through the statements with you. And what I do, though, I do it more slowly, but I do it with taking a couple of breaths between each statement. And so it goes like this. In this moment, I am not trying to achieve anything. There are no goals. I am simply becoming aware of this moment. Becoming aware of my experience of this moment. As thoughts, concerns, or judgments come to mind, I will let them go for now. Focusing instead on my moment-to-moment experience of being present to what is. Divine unconditional love manifest in our universal interdependence. And for me, also manifest in the birth, life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. Amen. So I just repeat those, and again take more time in between the breaths, and then I just sit still for the remainder of the 10 minutes. It takes me a couple of minutes. Sometimes when I'm working with people I was working with a group of Catholics on bringing peace to Europe, and I was in Poland, and I did that meditation for the whole group as a beginning. And the polarity that I wanted to start with them, they were wanting to know about how a polarity lens might be useful in bringing peace to Europe. And I talk about the polarity of being at peace and working for peace. And so that the importance of taking time to let yourself be at peace while you're also working for peace. So those are some things that help me. The other thing that helps me is one of my mentors, Jack Gibb, said that if we can see an individual or a team, an organization, or even a nation state, if we could see them completely, love would just be a natural byproduct of the seeing. Wow. And so I think that a polarity lens enhances our capacity to see another person more completely, or another organization or nation more completely. So it enhances our capacity to love. So that capacity to love, I think, comes from being loved, for sure. Being aware of being loved increases our capacity to love and respond to that experience of being loved. That's why divine unconditional love, the awareness of that, is so supportive. And another thing is to work with the assumption that if I could see others completely, love would be that result. And then I can be more intentional about attempting to see others more completely. And so it's a real gift. For example, your process that you have just engaged with me in an effort to see me more completely by letting me tell my story, letting me talk on and on, is a wonderful expression of love. To engage seriously as you have and lovingly in wanting to see me more completely. That is about the most loving act that you could do for me, and I appreciate it very much.
Wow. The question we have for you, Zoe, is this. How have you been growing your ability to think over the years?
I never had a problem with my ability to think. What I had as an issue was to cut the circle between thinking, emotions, and behaviors. Like, that was the real challenge for me. I could always think, but that doesn't mean that what I would think would also cause the appropriate emotional reaction or the appropriate behavior. That was the real challenge. Like, for example, like I said, I was very impulsive, and that also comes with ADHD, but it was also my personality, frankly. So I could think that maybe, for example, I shouldn't say that, but I could still say something that I shouldn't say. So it was more of a challenge to put my thinking into action than into my actual thinking. And what I did to change that is that I don't wait for my emotions to coordinate in order to do things. I do what I have to do because I think that that's what I trust my thinking more than my emotions, let's put it like that. Because maybe my thinking is, I need to prepare for this interview, let's say, but my emotions are, but I'm bored. I just want to have chocolate by the lake. So I'm not gonna let my emotions affect my behavior. I'm gonna let my thinking affect my behavior, and I'm gonna just go do the preparation, even if I feel like I'm bored. And then eventually, usually my emotions follow after a while. And the more I do that, the things that I'm supposed to be doing based on my thinking, the faster my emotions have become recalibrated towards that way.
How have you been expanding your ability to think over the years?
I'm not even thinking.
Not even thinking. He's thinking. Explain more.
He's thinking. You know, we unnecessarily think that we're very important. We unnecessarily think that we need, in today's day and time, we have so much information coming to us. The mobile, the internet, the billboards. I think the information that we get in 1 week, people back in the days would get in their entire lifetime. The biggest problem today is that people want to prove that they are smarter, that they know better than you. I know better than him. I know better than her. That problem comes when you want more and more information. I don't need this information. It's stupid. I do not want everything. And I'm not ashamed. Tomorrow, if you ask me a question and I do not know the answer, I will very happily say, I'm sorry, I do not know. Will you please tell me about it? There is no competition. Today, people are falling apart because there is a competition. I know better, you know better, she knows better. Why do you need to know better? There is no harm in learning. And you cannot mentally and physically, it is impossible to have everything in your mind. You are not a computer, you're a human being. A human being was not supposed to keep so much information, so much trash, so much rubbish in their minds. Even after a time, you need to delete the information from your mobile, from your hard drive, from your laptop, because when it's full, it doesn't operate. When your mobile is full, it hangs, it does not run. So you need to remove some of the data from it so that it can work efficiently. So I say I do not think is because if I keep thinking all the time, if I keep pushing in my brain with information, I will not be able to do what I do. I am doing what I'm doing because I'm not storing information in my mind. I'm just letting it be. If there is a time for me to learn something, I will learn it there and then. I do not need to store information because 10 years later, someone will ask me a question about it. I can actually, in today's day and time, if you use the AI the right way, you can get information in few seconds. Why do you need to store it in your brain? You know, if you're smart, you would rather use the phone and not your brain. You keep your brain for better things.
So what are that better things you mentioned? If we keep
Well, AI is not thinking about welfare of this world. AI is not thinking how to improve lives, how to resolve the issues that humans have. AI is not thinking about how to serve people, how to help people. And that is what we can do as individuals. We can see around us that what is that I can change, what is my capacity, what is my strength, and how can I help someone to better their life, to improve their life, to improve your own life for that matter. I think that's where you should use your brain. We as human beings have forgotten that compassion, we as human beings, something that makes us different from all the other beings is one compassionate. The compassion within us, the humanity within us, we have forgotten about that. That was our basic instinct. What makes us human is to be able to do something for others because we are capable of doing that. We have forgotten that. And today, when someone does something great, we always give them an award and say, oh, he's so compassionate. But we were supposed to be compassionate. That is our basic instinct. We have forgotten it. So if you really want to do something, first invoke the compassion within yourself. Invoke the human within yourself and ask the human within yourself, are you doing the right thing? And the human within yourself, your soul, will tell you if you're doing the right thing or not. Every time you're doing something wrong, your heart always says, don't do it, it's wrong. But you never listen to your heart while doing something wrong. So I think if we listen to what our heart says, if we listen to the instinct, if we listen to the soul within us, I think we all will live a better life. We'll lead a much better life than we have right now.
Yeah, and that's why people need your work. So the big question we want to ask you, Mark, is how have you been expanding your ability to think?
Well, I always try to do a little bit of, I don't necessarily use the word that you use, but to try to find newness every day. And what's that one new thing each day? And I always feel like I'm exploring. Like there's never been anything that I've done in my life where I feel like I've got it all figured out. And so I always feel like I'm trying to figure it out. Like even when after the first Ironman win in 1989, a lot of athletes, the first time they win a big race like that, they feel like I figured it out. And they come back the next year thinking they figured it out, and then they don't win. Because every year is different, right? And life is like that. There's no 2 days that are the same, no two situations that are the same. And so I'm always sort of trying to figure it out, whatever it is. And people ask me, they go, well, when are you going to retire? Because I'm 68. And they ask me that, and it's almost like they've asked me a foreign word that I don't understand. Like, retire? What is that? Like, I'm doing so many things that are still exciting for me to be involved with. And I'm actually working with my business partner, Scott Zagarino. We're writing a book talking about how you can use exercise and movement to bring mental health, because it's such an issue right now. There's so many people who are turning to medication to deal with helping them have mental health, but there's so much research showing that if you just move your body, it can get you off of so much of that medication. So anyway, we're writing that. So that's exciting to do. I'm helping the United States triathlon team that's trying to get to the Los Angeles Olympics to raise money so that they can do the training that they need to and have the freedom to travel and go to the races they need to, because that'll be exciting to have the Olympics in Los Angeles. It'll be the first time the triathlon has been contested on U.S. soil. It's never been raced here in the Olympics, so that'll be really fun. And then I'm that little thing that I wanted to do when I was a kid, travel. I'm still traveling it. In fact, the last couple of years I've traveled more than maybe ever. And that people go, does that get old? And it's not a black and white answer. Yeah, packing the bag, unpacking the bag, doing the wash, all that gets old. But every place I go and the people I meet and the cultures I get to experience and be part of, and to share stories, my stories with people in other places and their stories with me, that never gets old. That's super exciting.
Question for you, Liz, is if you look at your life, look at all the work you do, and now answer this question: how have you been growing and expanding your ability to think?
My growth in thinking is just an ongoing learning experience for me. I don't think that I've even got there yet, because everything evolves as you evolve. But for me personally, I personally think that I'm on this earth to be the best version that I could be of me. And even when negative things happen to me, I turn negatives into a positive. And I've always done that all my life. I take the knocks, but it never derails me from my mindset on how I need to be the best version of what I could be with the circumstances that I've got. So I'm always evolving, and I think I will till the day that I go, really.
Wow.
So how have you been growing your ability to think?
My approach has always been to put myself in the position of the audience, or in this case, maybe the person who's asking the question, and try and gauge as to what is the purpose of asking this question, or what is the lookout for somebody to whom I am maybe making a presentation or making a proposal for approval, or for seeking consent or gaining appreciation, or whatever I am trying to do. The purpose from the audience's angle, and that is what I take a little bit of time to understand and probably analyze in my mind to the best of my abilities. Not obviously always very successful, but try to figure it out as to how I should answer that question, or how should I deal with this particular situation, even not merely maybe a question. In terms of thinking, uh, it has really changed over time.
Wow.
I guess it has, when I started, it could have been probably more in the form of, ad hoc, off the cuff reaction, to maybe more and more putting thoughts behind as my age grew over time, and realized the consequences of not thinking before doing or answering or saying something. And then I guess that has become more or less a habit over time. And the way of looking, approaching problems has also changed over time by facing problems on a day-to-day basis and trying to find solutions. That has also modified. So one of the things which I personally think about always is, before you do something or answer something or act on something, the the layers of analysis, in terms of what you call that layers of why, trying to figure it out as to what is the best way, and maybe try and understand the audience. In case it is more instructional, trying to make sure that the instructions are clear. If it is more trying to satisfy a curiosity, then maybe trying to figure out what is that curiosity all about, so that you are focused on that. So essentially, again, boiling down to understanding the audience before you do anything or say anything.
Wow.
Sheila, what would be your best advice to help people to improve their ability to think based on your own life experience and your own way of thinking?
Have courage to go alone with your dream. What do I mean by that? I say, don't get involved with unnecessary traditions. Don't feel down or hurt when people talk nonsense about you, or don't engage in coffee clutch. Don't judge. By not judging, you maintain yourself open. And the openness of heart will always make you fresh. It will bring freshness to your being, your body, your way of thinking. And you don't have to pick petty fights or arguments to prove your point. If you have a point, it will prove itself. One doesn't have to argue about it.
So, Professor Sasa, how have you been expanding your ability to think over the years?
If I understood you correctly, I expanded my knowledge and my ideas and things like that. First of all, to be open to discussion. So dialogue, which means you are talking, I am listening. I am talking, you are listening. Maybe we don't get along on all the topics. But if we understand each other, then it's much easier to find the topics that we understand together. To be good in dialogue, you have to be good in listening. People usually listen just to be able to answer. I'm trying to listen to you or anybody else to understand your way of thinking, your way of behaving. And this is something when I'm a good listener, first of all, I learn a lot about the topics and I learn a lot about the people. And that's something that I developed through the years, listening, to be in position then to ask right questions, because I listen to you and I know what to ask. And thanks to that, to know more about the topics we are discussing, and of course, to know more about you. And the more we know each other, the more we understand each other, then our relationship will be much better than if you speak, I speak, we're not listening, we're not sharing the differences. We are sure that we are the only right, that nobody else is right. And my suggestion to the people is try to listen more, try to understand more, try to learn more. As I say, maybe one person will not change the world. I don't have that ambitions, but if I meet at least 10 similar people, then my world is bigger. Their world is bigger. And as I said, I'm not looking this as that I will calm the sea, let's say. But if I manage to calm 3 or 4 meters of the sea, I hope that my sentence is okay, then I will be very happy.
Now, because you're gonna meet you back there also, you're gonna have a word of wisdom from Professor Sasa now to that young little Sasa. So what is that you're gonna tell him about his journey, about the things, being responsible and anything? Tell him, share with us.
If I ever meet, it sounds funny, but whenever I come to visit my relatives in my hometown, I usually expect to see smaller me, younger me, coming from the library with some books under the hand. So if I will have a chance to discuss with him, I think that I will just say, go on. Don't change anything in your life. Continue to learn. Maybe sometimes take good care about yourself, not about the others, but as I said, then this will not be my life. So definitely I will support him. I will bring his book, his heavy book, to home, but definitely I will only tell him, okay, continue and go on.